Hello and welcome to As the World Burns, a little bit of a Culture Burns breakdown for you today. Considering this momentous occasion, we're going to be breaking down the Avengers Doomsday trailer. Just wanted to say that I'm really excited for this movie. It looks like it's going to be really good. It's a momentous occasion in pop culture history, just like I think Avengers Endgame, and it's going to be very good to see how it goes. Now, we open the trailer. You can see a placard of Xavier's school in total disarray, suggesting the X-Mansion is destroyed or at least in abandoned ruin. I guess it's not destroyed yet, but at this point it looks like it's been abandoned for years. A lot of people are suggesting online that the X-Men for a while have been like fighting off different incursions, and that's why like the school's in disarray. That's why Nito and Charles are kind of discussing what to do in case of the end of the world. Basically, like their time for fighting has stopped at this point. A lot of the other trailers that were released kind of give context, and this one kind of gives context to those, I would say. So then you hear the voice of Doom, the voice of Doom. So then you hear a voiceover, and it's officially Dr. Doom. For the first time, you hear his voice. It's he's got a European accent, so you hear Robert Downey Jr. with a European accent. It doesn't really sound like him, but I guess that's good. A lot of people online were wondering if it's going to be a Tony Stark variant. It looks like that is not the case with the confirmation that he actually is from like Europe. But at the same time, I think it could still be a variant of Tony Stark, so I don't think that is 100% valid, the idea that he isn't still a Tony Stark variant. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I've been wrong before. Or this is something I had in my mind watching the trailer and seeing the breakdowns and stuff like that myself that people had. One of the things is that Doctor Doom was scarred from an interdimensional or a dimensional portal or something like that when he first got scarred. So what if the idea is that Doom decided to fuck with like different dimensions, and he tapped into another dimension, and instead of scarring his face, it transformed his face into like Tony Stark, just because of some kind of weird thing where maybe Doom was dreamwalking using technology or something like that. He figured out a way to do it non-magically or scientifically. And he was able to like start controlling different people from different realities. Maybe I don't know. This is just a suggestion, something fun, little suggestion, I guess. And maybe he scarred his face into looking like Stark from doing that, or controlling Stark, or something like that. But that's a real long shot. And if that happens, oh my God, that would be like crazy. That might be the craziest plot point ever. But so you actually do hear Doom as it pans over to the actual X-Mansion. Then we see an explosion outside of the X-Mansion, not just inside of the X-Mansion. We see a fiery sky. It looks like an incursion's happening. This might be what Charles and Magneto were talking about. You kind of wonder who Doom's talking to in this moment, too. He says, something's coming, something we may not be able to deter. Before this day is done, we shall be fast with an unthinkable decision. So is he basically talking about incursions in that moment? Is he saying that, like, is he talking maybe to, like, the X-Men and saying, like, hey, let's get off our asses and start, like, and start battling these other universes? Or maybe the Doctor Doom from the 828 universe, if I'm not mistaken. The one with the recent Fantastic Four and Galactus in it. I mean, it's Galactus. The recent Fantastic Four movie. I don't totally disagree with that. I think that's actually the most logical explanation, So maybe in that moment he's talking to the Fantastic Four, and he's trying to plead with them, basically saying like, "Hey, the shit that's going on right now is causing an incursion, or maybe Doom did something to cause an incursion with these other worlds, and then the Fantastic Four has to go and figure it out. Go to the 616 universe, which is where you see them at the end of Thunderbolts. Spoiler alert! I mean, this whole thing's spoilers, so get used to it, I guess. But it's pretty interesting. All of it's pretty interesting. Who is Doom talking to? That's what I want to know. That seems like a fascinating thing, because it suggests, or it could be, a lot of people were saying that he's going to have like some kind of some type of Illuminati type group that's going to be on his side. So maybe he's talking to Doctor Strange, or pleading to Strange in that moment to try and get him on board his team. And that's like the breaking point where Strange has to realize, like, oh shit, like there's been a lot of these crazy incursions. Maybe we do have to stop them. Like, Multiverse of Madness, I guess, would teach him that the universe is pretty fickle, and you can't really fuck with it too much, or you have to fuck with it a lot. And I guess that's what he's going to get out of meeting Doom, is that he's probably going to have to fuck with sorry, not universe, but multiverse a lot. Doom kneels down amidst the destruction. I'm wondering where that was, if this is maybe towards the end of the movie, like when Thanos accomplishes his goal and just kind of just chills out and is just like, okay, I'm done. Like, maybe this is the lead into Battleworld. Like, a lot of people don't think about that, is that some of these trailers, I mean, most of them are probably in the beginning of the movie, probably first hour, whatever, but every so often they do show something from the last like 5 minutes of the movie sometimes, or last 10, 20. You know, think about the Avengers Infinity War, when they showed like the Hulk rushing towards you know, Thanos' forces in Wakanda. That was pretty much at the end of the movie. Imagine that something similar would probably happen here, where there's something that you might find that's at the end of the movie. I wouldn't even be so. I think it would be probably dumb if the part later on in the trailer where Doom stops Stormbreaker out of nowhere, if that was at like the end of the movie, kind of like Infinity War, how he hits him in the neck, or sorry, he hits him in the shoulder. He's like, you should have gone for the head. Maybe Doom, it's just totally like, yeah, nope, but that seems like that'd be something when they first fight. Like, he would just go for it, and then Doom would be like, nah, not having that, and just like wipe him to the side, basically. Then we see the classic Marvel Studios logo. I feel like they should have put like Doctor Doom in there personally, but that's just me. I think that would have been cool if they personalized the Marvel Studios logo a little bit, but they're probably going to do that in the movie. If they don't, missed opportunity. Next, you see the New York City skyline and the new Avengers Tower, a new look at it, fully redone. I kind of like it a lot, actually. The big A looks cool. I'm a fan. Thor gives a speech about this being the hardest foe he's ever had to face. I mean, he says he's fought many, many foes and had many warriors alongside him who are far more powerful than the people in the room with him, and he says that that they've all died in battle, basically. So he's not throwing out the most confidence for this whole situation to everybody. I'm wondering if this was after he fought Doom for the first time, so after the part where Doom stops Stormbreaker like nothing, and he probably just swats him to the side and is just like, all right, yep, this is we're all fucked. Then we see the Fantastic Four and Thor walking as a group, potentially meeting with an already present Captain America, Sam Wilson, Winter Soldier, and Ant-Man, forming the group you immediately see with the incursion chart on the screen. So if you look in the back on the screen, you'll see you'll see the entire like incursion chart on the actual screen, and it's pretty wild. You'll see like the three universes being connected that are going to be destroyed. Thor giving that confident speech right there. I'm wondering if that's happening inside of the Avengers Tower or where that actually is happening. It looks sort of futuristic and not unlike what could be the Avengers Tower, but at the same time, it looks different. During Thor's confidence speech, you can see there's a lot of people present. There's pretty much the new Avengers and the, I guess you'd call them the old Avengers present. You have, from left to right, you have Captain America John Walker. I guess you could call him U.S. Agent John Walker. You have Red Guardian, Yelena Belova. Looks like Ghost and the Winter Soldier. Then in the center, right in front of the big screen, you have pretty much the entire Fantastic Four. Johnny looking real, cool. And then the Thing just kind of chilling there. I feel like Pedro Pascal looks really awkward there, which is perfect for Reed Richards because Reed Richards is super awkward. So perfect casting or perfect situational casting, I guess. Then you have Scott Lang and Sam Wilson. They're chilling. Now, the thing about Scott Lang is he's already faced a multi-dimensional threat. He faced that in Kang. And originally, this movie was supposed to be a Kang movie, if I'm not mistaken. They were going to have Kang's Dynasty. But they changed it to Doomsday because of the whole Jonathan Majors situation, which kind of sucks because Kang would have been a cool villain, but I've been saying for a while that I thought Doomsday was like the endgame, and that Kang was like a stepping stone to that. So I feel like what they just did instead was they skipped the stepping stone to get to the reboot endgame kind of situation because that's really what the Secret Wars, I think, was going to be. And they put Doom on the front and center. Got Robert Downey Jr. back into it because they wanted just like some kind of quick and easy buck, but I think there's also a way to explain why they look like him. If they don't, I think that's crazy. If they don't explain, I mean, they're probably not going to show his face, but if they don't explain why he looks like Tony Stark in some kind of way, especially with the fact that they're going to have like some kind of personal relationship between Captain America, Steve Rogers, or I should just say Steve Rogers. They're going to have some kind of personal relationship with Steve Rogers and Doom. It would make no sense if they didn't go the Tony Stark lookalike route for some reason, some inexplicable reason. Like I was saying earlier, they could even have it be, they could have him look like him because of some kind of dimensional portal situation where it fucked up his face and made him look like Stark. And maybe he hates that. Maybe he wants to look like Doom because of his vanity. And that's what kills him. And that's why he wears the mask, because even though Stark is not a bad-looking guy, it's not him. It's also, this brings precedence to a comic book that there was, where there was a what if, where Doom and Stark worked together instead of Doom and Richards, and they, ultimately, there was some kind of experiment that failed. It ruined Doom's life, just like in the real 616 universe with Richards. But instead, Doom eventually switches bodies with Stark and basically creates continues to do the weapons manufacturing shit in Stark's body, but as Doom. And it's like a crazy, crazy like story. And then Stark is Doom and controls Latveria and I guess makes it like a paradise or something like that. It's crazy. But maybe they could be going a route like that where it's similar, where there is some sort of like, there's something like that. I feel like there would be, personally. I mean, I hope so. Otherwise, it just makes no sense that he looks like Tony Stark. Like, why? Other than to just recapture the nostalgia for Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. But I really hope that it's not 100% that. I hope that there's just a small little bit of something else there. So then you see a meeting between Shuri and Namor. It looks like she's trying to ask him for help, basically. If you remember the last movie, Wakanda Forever, they kind of have like a soft alliance. At the end of the movie, it pretty much implies that Namor does it because he knows that the surface world's going to turn on Wakanda at a certain point because of their technology and their resources and everything like that. So what they're suggesting, I think, is that they're going to be there for that when that happens, and they're going to manipulate the situation to their advantage. But it seems like here he just does not give a shit less about joining an alliance with Wakanda, which is kind of interesting. So maybe he's trying to have the upper hand in the situation, or maybe he just doesn't see the gravity of the situation, no pun intended, that everything's just going to be destroyed. But it looks like they're meeting in some kind of ancient ruins or something like that. He's got like the run of the show. It looks like there's a lot of characters in there too. You can see after they start a battle, if I'm not mistaken, there's Shang-Chi over there on the left. You can see Ghost. You can see U.S. Agent. You can see, I believe, Winter Soldier. And you can also see over there you can see Shuri, M'Baku, and you can see the Fantastic Four present. So I do believe this is after they meet outside in like the actual like open desert when the seas are parted. Like later on in the trailer, you can see that the seas are parted out and that the Fantastic Four is meeting with Shuri. And I believe this was a meeting point for all three of them, and Namor comes in and just takes over the situation. But I could be mistaken about that. But that seems like where this is all headed. This seems like this happens after what happens later in the trailer, chronologically. So then you have Doom facing off against Thor directly, or vice versa. Thor facing off against Doom directly in a completely destroyed battlefield. I think some people were suggesting that around him are the Sentinels, but I think if in the leaks, if anybody's seen the leaks, there was this one leak recently, like within the last month, that showed it showed Doom taking control of a bunch of Sentinels at the X Mansion, and I'm wondering if these aren't just Doom bots, they're part of the Sentinels. If you look at them, they kind of even almost look like Sentinels. I know Doom bots kind of have that a similar look too, but they have that, if I'm not mistaken, if you look at the center, they almost have that arc reactor kind of Sentinel look. I'm going to bring up a picture of those classic Sentinels and the picture of this just to compare, showing them in the background, but I think this might be over in the other universe, not just the universe with the 616. This might be actually over in the X-Men universe. But I could be wrong, but I think that seems about right, especially considering the leak. Again, if anyone's seen the leak, he takes control of a bunch of Sentinels, and then it directly sends them after the X-Men and Avengers teamed up. And I believe that would be happening right after we see the scene where Gambit and Shang-Chi are fighting and all that. I think maybe Doom manipulates the situation, pits them after each other, and then we eventually see, maybe pits the X-Men after them behind the scenes, or warns the X-Men about them. And that's what that whole speech is about, deterrence or something. That, again, that could be a speech to Mr. Fantastic. I think that's the most likely scenario, but it could also be talking to Xavier and Magneto. So then you see an explosion at the X-Mansion for, again, it keeps happening all the time. The X-Mansion just keeps blowing up, and it's just a perpetual thing that happens in X-Men movies, just constantly. It's just always happening, just constantly. But then we get the money shot. Well, we get one of them. This, I think, is going to be like one of those Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire scenes where he steps out and that there's a quick, there's a slow transition for a minute, and everybody just claps in the audience and is like, "Woo, Cyclops, finally!" But you can see him in his classic blue and yellow outfit from, I think it was the 90s. 90s cartoon specifically had this outfit, which is really cool. And, yeah, he looks awesome. I love the effect with the visor. I I love everything so far. He comes out ready to kick ass in the X-Mansion. Then you see Shang-Chi and Gambit fighting, and oh my god, have we waited for this. This is fantastic. I mean, I don't love that these are the two characters fighting, but they all have to meet somehow. And to me, it's fascinating because Gambit, for years, it was set to be Channing Tatum. I think going back to, I could be mistaken, it might be 2009 or 2011. Those are the two dates that are popping up in my head. I think it's 2011, though. He campaigned for it for years, did not get it, but he was told he was going to get it, and was set to get a movie to himself for years. Never got anything, but then Deadpool and Wolverine came along, and he finally got his chance to shine, and boy, did he shine. Fantastic character, fantastic actor for that character, and he truly does love the character. Much like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, you have to give it up for Channing Tatum as Gambit, because that is a casting that it's perfect for him. For a guy who everything about it. I believe that Channing Tatum even speaks French. So, there you go. He respects the character in ways that we can't even understand. But back in the day, there was even going to be, I think before Channing Tatum as Gambit, there was Taylor Kitsch as Gambit, which was in the X-Men Origins movie. But when that didn't do very well, it kind of led to him not getting his own movie after that. Then you see the Yggdrasil Tree of Life on the back of the TVA card, and then when they turn it over, you'll see Loki's face on the TVA card. I didn't put that picture up, but you will see Loki's face when they turn over the card in the actual trailer. And it's interesting, suggesting that Loki kind of runs everything, or maybe this is his access card, I guess you could say. But the Yggdrasil suggests that he is running everything with the Tree of Life at the center, I guess. The word is that he's going to be the god of stories in the actual movie, and I think that would be really that would be a cool way to do it. A lot of people are suggesting that he's going to see what happens with Thor and in Doomsday, and he's going to offer up his help, or that's what this is going to relate to, is that he's trying to almost like take the Watcher's oath, whether he wants to fuck with what's happening or not. So then you see they're all meeting out in the desert. You see Shuri, M'Baku, the parting of the seas, which a lot of people are suggesting may be either Namor or Invisible Woman in this part. It could start out as the Invisible Woman meeting up with them, or it could be that Namor comes in and completely parts the seas. A lot of people are saying that, like Screen Crush said this, that the parting of the seas kind of motif is a good connection to him being like a Moses figure, and I think that is pretty interesting. But you'll see here you've got the Wakandans meeting up. Then you have the Fantastic Four, Winter Soldier. You have Ghost, U.S. Agent, and Joaquin Torres, which is interesting because that suggests that this is after the Avengers and the new Avengers and the old Avengers met up again. Oh, and, the Thing and Invisible Woman as well. So then you see Yelena Belova fighting Mystique. Now, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but it's interesting because Mr. Fantastic is stopping Sam Wilson's shield, stopping Sam Wilson from fighting. Basically stopping his shield and letting Yelena go at it, which is interesting. And this is also them fighting the X-Men at the X-Mansion. So what I'm wondering is that when they say put aside your petty squabbles at this point, I think with Thor, I think this is when they're all meeting and fighting, and this is when Doom turns on all of them and pits them against each other from behind the scenes. But you'll see Mystique transforms into Yelena Belova, and then they fight. Big X-Mansion fight, and I'm guessing that this is when the Brotherhood of Mutants and or the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, I guess they're the Brotherhood of Mutants at this point, They and the X-Men are integrated. I mean, that's obvious. You see Magneto talking to Xavier all the time, but I guess Mystique would be there too. Classic Mystique, Rebecca Romaine. Now, Femke Janssen isn't she isn't confirmed to be in this movie, but a lot of people are wondering if her character is dead, and that's Scott is basically trying to Scott is trying to grieve for the situation. Pedro Pascal and Alan Cumming are supposedly probably going to fight in this. And I would say this scene in particular is probably the one. But because the reason why is because Alan Cumming leaked that he hit Pedro Pascal a few too many times, so that's pretty funny. He was getting worried that he was hurting Pedro Pascal, from what I understand, but it's pretty funny. But this is her transforming into Yelena Belova. I am slightly worried about the talk of AI in the VFX of this movie, but at the same time, I'm not that worried because I do have confidence in Kevin Feige. One thing that's interesting is I don't believe that he would want to send off the original X-Men with such without a decent movie, in my opinion, because Kevin Feige has always been really. I mean, that's how he got his start. Blade was technically the first movie of Marvel's in this like modern age, I guess you could say. But 1999's X-Men was the one that Kevin Feige got his start in as an associate producer, I think. And that right there, that shows, I think, that he has love for the characters because it got him into the industry completely, and he ended up going so far to this point that I would say that he would have to have some kind of love like that for the characters. So then you see Magneto and Charles consoling each other, and then you see Scott and his daughter Cassie consoling, and then what looks like in the last shot, it looks like the Human Torch and Invisible Woman during an incursion, potentially, or maybe he's stopping an explosion from happening around her. I don't know, or maybe she is using her force field to stop something from happening or to shield them from something. But interesting. But I also want to suggest that it would be fascinating because it shows Cassie. What if Ant-Man is going off to die in this movie? And what you get at the end of the movie is that most of the OG Avengers are dead, and the young Avengers have to basically either save them or avenge them. So then we get the next movie is with the Children's Crusade, or maybe we get like an in-between TV show centering on Children's Crusade with the Young Avengers, or something's going on, because there was also some leaked concept art from the Secret Wars that showed like old Western like Hulktown, and it showed I forget who it was. I think it was Kamala Khan, and maybe it was Kate Bishop. Maybe they were talking like at a bar or at a saloon, but I could be mistaken about those two characters, but I think that is what it is. So that suggests to me that the Young Avengers are going to play a pretty pivotal role, I would say. So then Shuri gives an Invisible Woman, Sue Storm, a salute, and then it shows the continued battle in the X-Mansion. And then we get the true money shot of, I think, well, there's two, I think, of the trailer, but the real one with the X-Men, it shows a classic comic panel of Cyclops opening up his visor and unleashing. I'm going to show the comic panel that I believe that this comes from, but not classic. It's actually fairly new, but it's a really, really, really good one that I think a lot of people are going to love when we see it actually happen in the theaters. I mean, we're seeing it now on the trailer, but when we actually see it, it's going to be awesome. Then you have Invisible Woman in Namor. It shows them. It looks like out in the water again, or in the desert water. The the ancient ruins, so to speak. This is probably when they meet up again. Then, I think this is the other money shot. It shows Thor going to attack Doom, and Doom just takes two fingers, puts it up, and instantly stops Stormbreaker in its tracks. Amazing. And then Thor's just pissed. He's just like, what the fuck? He's just like, why? Why? We're going to need a miracle. Now, when he says this, I'm brought back to Avengers Age of Ultron, or pre-Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain America Winter Soldier. At the very, very end of the movie, Baron Strucker is talking to Dr. List, the guy that was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he says, this is the age of miracles, Doctor. So I'm wondering if, because miracles, I think, at the time was their way of not using mutants. It was them referring to Wanda Maximoff and Petro. So I'm wondering if maybe they're referring to mutants in this situation, or that's what they need. I don't know. There seems like maybe there's some classic subtext to the Captain America Winter Soldier, and that's the movie that the Russo brothers directed originally. That was the first one. So maybe they are calling back to that scene. But in this situation, you'll see, amazingly, Thor doesn't trust that it's actually Steve Rogers. So he puts up his hand, and then boom, Steve just immediately gets the hammer like it's nothing. And that's how we end. It's amazing, beautiful trailer. I was worried, actually, a lot about this trailer when it came out. Or, sorry, when it was going to come out. That it wasn't going to be that good, or there was I don't know. I think this actually made me feel a little bit more at ease about the whole thing, and I think that's a good thing. All right. I'm excited. Avengers Doomsday, coming soon. In theaters, December 18th. It's going to be a ride.